Welcome back to another video. And as you all know, America and Australia are the strongest allies, and we actually want to keep that regardless of the left-wing loonies that exist in our Australian parliamentary service. In this video, let's have a listen to Restore Britain. We need to be doing more what they are doing. We need our parliament, such as the Nationals, the Liberals, One Nation, all centre right-wing political parties to sort of unite and come together so they can actually defeat the left-wing loonies. People like the Greens and the Labour self-acclaimed Marxist socialists, we should be very wary of. They are already causing massive destruction to our economy, massive taxes, cost of living crisis, housing shortage, mass migration, and all round completely decimated our Australian lifestyle. Well done, socialist communists on the left wing of politics. But have a listen to what this guy is proposing to their centre-right political parties. And perhaps our centre-right political parties here in Australia should be following a similar suit. Because we need to unite. How good would it be if we had two centre political parties, one forming government and the coalition, and we completely shun out the left-wing loonies altogether? Have a listen to this and let me know what you think in the comments. Can we do something similar here in Australia?
Nigel, when we were both elected at the general election in July 2024, the five of us all knew that we had achieved something truly remarkable through starting the process of breaking the two-party system that has strangled and suffocated Britain for so very long. It was a special moment, and it was an honour to walk into that building as part of our group of 5 MPs. I treasured that then, and despite everything, I still treasure it today. However, now in 2026, we're in a very different place. The landscape has changed dramatically. Our differences over the last 18 months are well documented. I do not agree with how you remove me from reform, but let's not recycle those same arguments again and again. I want to move past that. The country we both love is changing beyond recognition. Millions of people feel like strangers in their own communities. They work hard, pay their taxes, obey the law, and yet they see no fair reward for any of that. They see a patriotic right hopelessly divided. They see hard work punished and indolence rewarded. That is why today I'm reaching out to put personalities and our past disagreements aside for the good of the country we all so want to succeed. To ask one simple question: how can we restore Britain? If we agree on 5 fundamental...
I think we can all agree. How can we restore Australia? Over the last 20 years, we've seen our country go downhill so dramatically. You all remember 20, 25 years ago, when your fellow Australian citizen was your mate, when people just got along with the same commonality, economic cooperation, building wealth, enjoying the lifestyle that Australia has to offer. We didn't have the problems that we have today anytime in the last 3 decades. It's only exacerbated because of left-wing socialism.
Fundamental principles, then I believe we can, should, and must find a way of working together in some form to make it a reality. Reform has taken a path that has moved its core offering away from what I believe is necessary to restore our country. On many issues, we agree. On others, we do not. But I'm hopeful that a common way forward can be found and forged. But any agreement or cooperation must be based on the following values, policies, and vision. First, restoring our borders. Ending mass immigration is not enough. The hour is just too late for that. It must be reversed. As you know, Restore Britain has taken the unprecedented step of publishing the most comprehensive deportation policy ever produced in British politics. That plan must be implemented in full and to the letter. Every illegal migrant must be deported, and yes, that must include women and children. Our plan has outlined exactly how that can be achieved within one parliament. You previously stated that mass deportations are a political impossibility. Not only must mass deportations become a political possibility, mass deportations must become a political inevitability. They must all go. Legal immigration has caused even more damage. Restore Britain's policy is simple but sound. If a foreign national is living in Britain, yet unable to speak English, refuses to work, lives in social housing, hates our way of life, or even wants to do us harm, they have abused our generosity, are incompatible with our high trust society, and they should be made to return to their own countries. There will be those in reform who do not agree with the robust nature of such measures, but I believe it is entirely necessary. Millions must go. Second, restore.
I'll just touch on that very quickly. If all these European countries, as you've seen in the news, as you've seen on X, as you've seen in other YouTube videos, if they start to see the major issues with mass migration coming into their countries and the destruction that it's been causing, especially with the aggressive nature aimed at the native population, and the European countries, with all their inviting, start to put their borders up and start their deportations, where do you think they're going to be going? Which country is accepting? Here in Australia, we don't have the housing. We currently don't have subdivisions taking off at a fast enough rate to be able to keep up with that housing. But we're bringing in more than 1,000 people a day. Could you imagine if the left-wing extremist parties continue to be in power, the socialism, communism, Labour and the Greens? Could you imagine when the European countries shut their borders and they start reversing all that migration? Where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to the complete left-wing socialist countries that's already bringing them into our country in Australia. So it's only going to be exacerbated. It's going to get 10,000 times worse because our borders are going to continue to be more and more open. I'm not saying an end to migration. I'm just saying that migration cannot outstrip housing supply, so the citizens end up on the streets starving to death. If we can't house our own population, why are we bringing in mass migration to take over those houses and jobs?
Restoring our demographic security. It is projected that white Britons will become a minority by 2063. Nothing demonstrates the demographic vandalism of mass immigration more than that. Importing millions of people from third world nations is changing our population in a way none of us ever wanted or voted to support. It is unacceptable and it cannot be allowed to happen. We must be unafraid to grasp that nettle. However painful the establishment backlash may be, Restore Britain has committed to reversing the Islamification of Britain, and that will not change. The level of influence that Islam is exerting, even now, on our Christian way of life is unacceptable. Any future cooperation must include the banning of both halal and kosher slaughter, the burqa, cousin marriage, mass dominating public Islamic prayer, Sharia courts, and any other barbaric foreign practices that have no place in our high trust society. Britain.
And I will just add right there, if you type in New South Wales government call to prayer speakers at Lakemba, It's already in a development application, is already under current reviews. If that gets approved, you're going to have Islamic call to prayer being broadcasted through all of the communities in that area. Now, if that gets approved, that's an Australian legal precedent that it can be established, and having religious doctrine forced upon people against their will, which is basically, in my opinion, against our constitutional right for freedom of religion. We shouldn't have any religion broadcasting their call to prayers and Islamic religious doctrine through the streets in major purpose-built speakers, so the entire community are subjected to it. Type in call to prayer speakers, because that's what's already under review with the New South Wales government. Have a read. Let's put a stop to it.
Is a Christian country, and we must ensure it remains that way. If we cannot agree on that, then there is simply no way forward. The recommendations from our independent rape gang inquiry must be implemented in full. That includes the deportation of foreign national accomplices who were aware of these heinous crimes and yet failed to act. I know you have publicly disagreed, and that this was the source of our previous difference of opinion, but it is a firm red line. If a Pakistani woman knew her husband was repeatedly gang raping a vulnerable white English girl, yet failed to act, she should be sent back to Pakistan. I hope her husband is not so fortunate. And on that, third, a referendum on restoring the death penalty. Axel Rudakabana, Hashim Abedi, Shabir Ahmed. Keeping these monsters alive, and hundreds just like them, achieves nothing. The British people must be given a full, free, and fair referendum on the reintroduction of the death penalty for the most monstrous and undeniable criminals. You have opposed it.
And what do you think about that? Australia used to have the death penalty. Should we be holding a similar referendum, not for your everyday crime or anything like that, but for the worst of the worst of the worst? The people, especially if you look at the National Security website, and the 90%, approximately 90% of terrorist organizations are all Islamic extremists. If they're going to undertake extremist views and terrorist acts on these soil, I would invoke the death penalty. As for any other major terrorist acts of violence against citizens, we are not like that. We are an Australian population that are very laid back, very tolerant, but we do not want their sort of terrorist organizations planning out and further getting rid of Australians. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Previously, and that is why letting the British people decide is the right thing to do. I will, in that referendum, without a shadow of a doubt, be voting in favour. Fourth, restoring a self-sufficient Britain. Britain must live within its means. That means controlling spending, cutting welfare costs, and making difficult decisions to bring inflation under control and restore sound public finances. It means a Britain that can power itself, feed itself, defend itself, Restore Britain's uniquely comprehensive policy papers are already addressing these challenges. To fund that, enormous cuts must be made. These choices will not always be popular, but we must be prepared to think in generations, not just election cycles. Governed by what is right for Britain, not for what will simply result in better polling. Difficult, unpopular decisions are now required, not short-term politicking, but long-term, hard planning that will ensure we leave a better Britain to our grandchildren than the one that was handed to us. Fifth, restoring the country's faith in politics. The British people have entirely lost faith in Westminster. That trust will not be restored by recycling the same ministers, advisors, and thinking that created today's problems. Former Conservative ministers who failed our country and our people in so many appalling ways must not be part of any future cabinet. They had their chance and they failed us all. That must not be rewarded with a second opportunity. These principles of restoration will be offered to the British people on the ballot paper at the next general election, with or without your cooperation. My sole aim through Restore Britain is the implementation of a properly considered policy programme that will start the process of desperately needed restoration for our once great country. I do not care how that is done. I only care that it is done. So Nigel, my message is simple. If you are prepared to work together around serious policies, serious reform, and serious government, then so are we. Not because it's politically convenient for Restore Britain, not because it's personally easy. After the events of the last 18 months, I would certainly rather not be making this offer. But millions and millions of British people deserve a patriotic government that puts our national interest before any personal differences that you and I may have. If you disagree, that is your choice. Restore Britain will be ready for what comes regardless. I truly believe there could be sufficient common ground for our two movements to cooperate collectively, destroy the looming left-wing alliance that will finish off what hope remains for this country. We have recently shown how effectively cooperation can work locally on the Norfolk County Council. So why not at national level? In my view, failing to even try because of our own personal difficulties is simply not an option. The British people deserve nothing less than our best and sincere efforts to make it happen. Now is the time to put our differences aside and cooperate for the good of the country that we all love.
So I'll just leave it there, but does he have a point? Can Nationals, Liberals, any of the centre right-wing politics, One Nation, can they all put their differences aside and actually combine to get rid of the left-wing politics, to get rid of the Greens, the toxic Greens that want to defund defence and they want to put more and more money into climate change, which is already known to be a complete waste of time and money? Do we want to actually have a good country again, a decent country again, a country that puts the citizens first rather than importing and prioritising all of the migrants over the citizens? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.